What up, what up, what up, family? It's your boy, Steve Bacon. And in this video, we are talking about resentment. Oh, what a subject. Resentment affects a lot of people, including me. You know why? Because I'm human. And if you're human, hey, give us a comment, give us a like, let us know. If you struggle with resentment too, definitely comment down below. Stick a hand up, right? Give us an emoji. Give us any kind of emoji you want. But listen, if this is your first time tuning in, I'm Steve Bacon. I'm a coach, life coach that specializes in behavior modification, helping people live better lives by teaching them how their mind works and providing them with effective tools to not only help them create a more positive self-image, but to help them make positive mental behavioral changes. And resentment is a huge problem that a lot of people deal with, or it's a big emotion. And there are some emotions that we carry around that really have negative effects on the body. They really carry some negative consequences. Resentment is one of those emotions where it's kind of like you drink the poison hoping somebody else would die. And I've dealt with that a lot. I mean, a lot of people have. If you ever felt like you were done wrong or you had some type of injustice happen to you throughout your life, a lot of people carry around resentment. But most people don't understand why they have the resentment and what kind of negative effect that can have on your life, right? It's important not only to forgive people it's important to forgive people, not for them, but for you, so that you can move on with your life. And so I want to help people kind of understand what resentment is, where it comes from, and how you can get rid of it, how you can move on. And so resentment is simply this. Resentment is not accepting things that already happened in the past. Now listen, I understand that there are injustices that happen in the world. There are injustices that happen to us as individuals. What I'm also saying is if you're depending on justice, right, to be served in order for you to live a happy and full life, you're not going to get it in this lifetime. You definitely won't get it in this world. And so if we can't rely on justice to be served at all times, then how do we move on? How do we allow ourselves to live in a happy life in spite of those injustices? And that's really dealing with or understanding resentment, where it comes from. And so resentment actually comes from the Latin, word. The first part of the root of it is re, which simply means back. And the centre, which simply means to feel, which means us trying to go back and change what already happened. That's what that simply means. Resentment means us trying to go back and change something that already happened. And unfortunately, when that happens, or too much resentment can actually lead to self-pity. So I've had to deal with this a lot in my life, because I've had some things that happen to me, whether it would be in childhood or in my late teens or early 20s. I've had injustices happen to me too. But the only reason why I'm able to live happy and full now is because I had to learn how to let those things go. And it's really bringing us back to, and we've talked about this before, which is cause and effect, which that's how the two dimensions we live our life in. We could either be at cause, which means we're responsible for the results that happen in our life, or we could be at effect, which simply means that we blame everybody for everything that happens in our life. And people who hold a lot of resentment tend to develop a victim mentality, right? If you know somebody that has a victim mentality, give me a like, give me a thumbs up. Those people, and if I'm going to be completely honest, at a certain point in my life, I had the victim mentality too. Like, I couldn't live the life I wanted to live because of these people, or I couldn't build the business that I wanted to build because of this person, or I would have had this life, but if these people hadn't done this to me, then I would be able to live much better. And unfortunately, that resentment creates a vicious cycle. Like, because I believed that everybody did everything to me, therefore I had no power to change it. That resentment led to a downward spiral. And if you're feeling me right now, let me know. Because like I said, unfortunately, this is something that a lot of people deal with. And resentment doesn't come from other people, and it doesn't come from events, and it doesn't come from circumstances. Resentment actually comes just from our interpretation of what happens. It comes from our reaction of what happens. I talked about this yesterday about people having malicious intent. And believe it or not, most people don't have a malicious intent to some of the things that they do. Most people are reacting just in their own interest, just like you probably react in your own interest in most ways. By human nature, we're selfish human beings. We're selfish creatures, right? We're always looking out for self. But unfortunately, if we have the wrong perspective or if we're viewing it from a lens or of a victim lens, then we can start to develop some real bad tendencies to resent people and be angry at people. And a lot of resentment can also lead to a lot of anger in our lives. And I definitely had a lot of anger. And if you don't know how much anger, go back and watch yesterday's video. We talked about emotional control. So resentment is poisonous. And the event already happened. And you can't change what happened. But you can change how you look at what happened. I've talked about this in previous videos, and I'm going to continue to talk about it in more videos to come, which is God gives us situations. He doesn't give us good experiences. He doesn't give us bad experiences. He just gives us experiences. And some of them, we may feel bad about what happened. And some of it sucks. I get it. I've been through enough of it. But each of those experiences that happened was meant to teach us something. There was something that we were supposed to learn in that. And unfortunately, it takes some people, until their late 50s and 60s and 70s in order to go back and realize when they're in the later years of their life and they're kind of on their way out, that they start to realize that a lot of emotion and stuff that they held on to just really wasn't that important. There's a book out, I forget what it's called now, but a young lady went out and she started interviewing a lot of people in hospice care. And she was asking them, about their life. And a lot of them said that, the majority of them really said that a lot of the things that they cared about or that they thought was important or the grudges that they held, they wish they didn't hold on to that stuff because it prevented them from living a much fuller and happy life. Things are going to happen. But there's a lesson that's supposed to happen in there. And when we can pick out the lesson of what happened, we can let the emotion go. Your brain can't hold on, or your mind can't hold on to the lesson and the emotion at the same time. And so if something happened where you're feeling some type of resentment or you're feeling some type of way about maybe the way somebody did you or the way something went down, go back and ask yourself, what am I supposed to learn from that event? What lesson can I take away from that event? That allows you to be at cause, which means you're taking responsibility for your life. Because when you're at cause, you have the power to change anything. You have the power to change your perspective. So So we have the power to change our perspective on the way situations went down and how we review things. So ask yourself, that one thing that you're feeling resentment about, what could you learn from that lesson? What could you take away from that lesson? That it's not about the other person. It's about you. It's not about the organization or whatever it is that you're holding that resentment against. It's not about them. What can you take away from that situation? What lesson can you learn? Because again, God only puts us through these situations to teach us something. And sometimes he has to put us in really screwed up situations in order to teach us a lesson he couldn't have taught us otherwise. So what lesson could you learn from that event so that you can move on and let it go? Let go and let God. Like, just let it go. Because I promise you, if you allow yourself to just figure out what you were supposed to learn from that event, and then just let the rest of it go. Just let that emotion go, because holding on to that emotion can seriously cause some damage to your body. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a book out, I think it's by Bruce Lipton, called The Biology of Belief, which talks about just how powerful the mind and body connection is. Like your thoughts really do have an effect on your physical body, and holding on to those negative emotions have really has some serious negative consequences physically to your body. And so I had to learn how to deal with the resentment that I had towards a lot of people. And some of those people I even called up. I'm not suggesting that you have to do this, but some of those people I had to call up, and I apologized to them for holding on to a grudge for so long. And some of them didn't know what I was talking about. Some people didn't even know that I held a grudge against them, which is crazy, because that seriously told me that I was perceiving it a certain way. They had no idea that I was even upset with them. Matter of fact, I just rekindled a friendship that way, where I was feeling some type of way for a couple years, and I ended up calling that person up and saying, hey, listen, I'd like to come by and see you. And when I went by and saw that person, I explained to him exactly how I was feeling and what led to those feelings. And that person said, man, I had no idea that you even felt that way. I didn't even know you were mad at me. I mean, seriously, 3 or 4 years had gone by. And he was like, I didn't even know you felt that way. And I was like, man, I don't know why I held on to this for so long, but it's prevented our friendship from happening and great things being able to come from that friendship. And so that really taught me a lesson that just because it's such a big deal to you doesn't necessarily mean it was that big of a deal to the other person. And again, it may not have been malicious intent, whatever happened. And so that's why we have to do the investigating and find out not only what happened, but what lesson can we learn from that. And what I learned is, if you have a gripe with somebody, then just address it, but address it in a very respectful way, right? There's a difference between being aggressive and assertive. Aggressive, just the difference between aggressive and assertive is a very fine line. And here's what that is. Aggressive means you say what you mean, right? You speak your truth, but you speak your truth in a way where you don't care about how the other person feels or what happens to them. That's aggressive. When you don't take into consideration about how other people feel about something, that's being aggressive. Being assertive is being able to speak your truth, but taking into consideration how that other person might take it or what consequences may come from you speaking that. That's not to say don't speak it, but that's allowing you to form it in a way where you're not being disrespectful to another human being and another adult, right? It's assertive is being able to speak your truth in a respectful manner. Aggressive is speaking your truth and not giving a flying about what anybody else thinks. That's aggressive, and nobody likes that. So the key thing to getting rid of the resentment is, number one, ask yourself, what is it about that situation that you're trying to change? Then challenge the fact that, can you even change it or not? And the answer is no. You can't change what happened. You can't go back and rehash the past. But then ask yourself, what lessons can you learn from that event? And will you be able to move on, maybe to rekindle that relationship with that person, and maybe just being assertive and letting them know this is what happened? Because again, they may be oblivious to what happened, and you bringing it up allows them to take inventory of themselves, but it also allows them to maybe apologize where you thought they should have apologized, but they had no idea they did it. And now you're mad for 3 or 4 years, and they had no idea that they should apologize in the first place. But now you bringing it up allows them to apologize, and now you both can move on like adults. So, again, injustices happen in the world. But if you rely on justice being served in order for you to live a full and happy life, I promise you, you will live a long and miserable life. People always say things like life is too short. That's true in some regards, but I also believe life can be too long. Can you imagine living till 90 years old? pissed off and angry and resentful at everybody. That's a long ass life, being upset and angry. And we only get one life to live. We only get one. And ask yourself, do you really want to spend your one precious life, and you have no idea how much time you got left? Do you really want to spend that time being pissed off, angry, and resentful at other people? Or do you want a chance to live your life and experience it in a full and beautiful manner the way God intended? So listen, I hope this message helped you out. If it did, please hit the like button, comment down below, share this message, because there's a lot of people out there that struggle with resentment and they need to hear this message. And we appreciate you, family, because we are dedicated to helping people live a much fuller life by helping them understand how their mind works. You know, I believe in faith and science. I believe that God gave us these tools and this brain to accomplish some amazing things. But if we don't take the time to learn the tools that he gave us, then how can we actually live a prosperous life in a beautiful life that he intended for us to live? And so that's why we're here teaching you just how your mind works and the basic idea of how you're wired and helping you understand who you are. People ask me all the time, they say, what are you selling? I'm selling you to you. That's what my goal is, to sell you, to help you understand that you are powerful beyond measure if you just learn how this thing works. If you learn how this computer works, I promise you, if you learn how your mind works, life can be so much easier. So like this video, share this video, comment down below. Don't forget to like us at Real Steve Bacon, at our page Real Steve Bacon. Like us on Instagram. Definitely send us a message. Listen, if there's topics that you want us to cover, please comment and put it in the comment section. Send it to us in a private message or in an email, realstevebacon@gmail.com. We're here to really address whatever it is that you want us to address that has to do with the mind and how it works, and just how you can live a full and happy life. And that doesn't mean that you have to have a lot of money, because there's a lot of people with a lot of money. Well, not a lot of people, but there are people with a lot of money who are not happy. And there are people who have no money and are truly happy. And I love what Tony Robbins says. He says, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And so that's what we're here to teach you and help you understand, is how to live a fully fulfilled life. So family, I appreciate you. I'm excited for the new year coming up. Definitely look out for all the stuff, the new stuff that we have coming out at the beginning of the year. So until next time, take care. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow.